Dante Mercer kept one hand on the safe's dial because the city respected what it couldn't see. The back room of Mercer Imports smelled like oil, old coffee, and money that didn't belong to banks. He was counting bills when he heard bare feet on concrete, a stumble, then a child's breath held like a secret. "If I open the safe, will you give me food?" the little girl asked. The question hit harder than a gunshot because it wasn't a threat. It was a bargain offered by a kid who didn't believe in gifts. Dante didn't turn right away. His instincts screamed trap. Little kids didn't reach this door without someone letting them. Little kids didn't know he had a safe. He faced her slowly. She couldn't have been more than 7. Too thin, too quiet, hair tangled, cheeks smudged with winter grime. A backpack hung from one shoulder, strap torn, her hands gripping it like it was her last piece of safety. Her eyes didn't wander to his gun. They watched the safe, then his hands, as if she'd studied him. But before we continue, I want to make a very special invitation. Subscribe to the channel and leave your like. This helps me see that you support me and are enjoying my stories. And comment below which city you're watching us from. Now let's continue. "Who brought you here?" Dante asked. He kept his voice level, the same voice he used with men who lied for a living. "No one," she said. "I followed the big guy with the scar." He threw away a sandwich. I waited. Then I came in. Frankie Rios, Dante thought. Newer muscle. Scar across the jaw. Always hungry for attention. "What's your name?" She hesitated, then tried a lie that sounded rehearsed. "Mia." Dante nodded like he believed her. "Mia, and you think you can open my safe?" "I saw you," she said. "Left, right, left. You tap the dial, then you pull." Dante's stomach tightened. He did tap the dial, twice, like a superstition. The habit came from a man who taught him locks as a kid, back when Dante's own stomach had growled louder than his pride. He shut the safe with a clean click, not because he feared her stealing, but because he feared his men seeing him soften. Her stomach made a small sound anyway. The child froze, embarrassed by her own hunger. Dante opened a cabinet and set down what he kept for long nights. A bottle of water, a protein bar, a small jar of peanut butter. He slid them across the desk. "Eat," he said. She didn't rush. She watched his face first, deciding if this was another trick. Then she twisted the water cap with both hands and drank like she was afraid it would vanish. She tore into the bar and ate fast, but her eyes stayed sharp. "You're the boss," she said between bites. "I'm the owner," he corrected. Outside, people would have laughed. In the neighborhood, everyone knew who Dante Mercer was. "People say if you work for you," she said, "you don't starve." Dante felt something old and bitter rise in his throat. That was how his own legend sounded to children, like a fairy tale with teeth. "Where do you sleep?" he asked. "Where it's warm," she answered. "Train. Church steps. Laundry place if it's open." She hugged the backpack again. Dante noticed her fingers, small, chapped, nails bitten down. He noticed the way she kept the bag in front of her like a shield. "What do you want besides food?" he asked. "A lock." Her chin lifted like she refused to beg. "People take my stuff." Dante reached into a drawer and handed her a small combination lock. "Here." Hope flashed across her face so fast it scared him. Hope made people reckless. Hope got people killed in his world. She looked at the safe again. "So if I can open it, you'll give me more." Dante studied her, the shape of her mouth, the eyes that were too serious for 7 years old. A name tugged at a memory he kept buried with other mistakes. "Tell me the truth," he said. "What's your real name?" The kid's throat bobbed. "Lily," she whispered. The room went cold. Lily. Dante had once received a letter with that name on the inside, and he'd never opened it. He'd told himself it was safer not to know. A floorboard creaked behind her. Frankie Rios filled the doorway, scar catching the light, gaze snapping from the child to the safe. His hand hovered near his waistband like it always did when he wanted to feel powerful. "What's this?" Frankie asked. "You got a stray in here?" Lily's shoulders went rigid. Her eyes locked onto Frankie like she recognized him. Dante stood, placing himself between Frankie and the child. "Get out," he said, calm but final. Frankie smiled without warmth. "Kid knows too much. Maybe she's a message. Maybe she's here for what's inside that safe." Dante didn't blink. "She's hungry, that's all." Frankie took one step in. Lily backed up a half step, clutching her bag until her knuckles whitened. Dante lowered his voice. "Lily," he said without looking away from Frankie, "Do you know him?" Her voice shook, but she answered, "He's the one who told me, if I open the safe, I can eat." Dante's thoughts sprinted. Frankie didn't care about a kid's hunger. He cared about the safe and about testing the limits of Dante's control. That meant someone was feeding him courage, someone bold enough to use a child as a key. Dante glanced at Lily's small hands, then at the steel door behind Frankie. If Lily had watched him long enough to learn the dial, she had watched long enough to learn the guards, the schedules, the blind spots. She wasn't just lost. She'd been directed. If Dante cracked now, they'd crack him next, right here tonight, right in front. Dante Mercer moved before Frankie could decide whether to smile or strike. He stepped sideways, blocking Lily with his body, and lifted one hand toward Frankie like it was nothing. "Outside," Dante said. Frankie's eyes narrowed. "Boss, I'm just asking." "Outside." The calm in Dante's voice was the kind that made men obey if they wanted to keep breathing. Frankie backed out, still smirking. Dante waited until the door shut, then crouched to Lily's height. Up close, she smelled like cold air and shelter soap. Her lip trembled once. Then she swallowed it. "For you did good telling me," Dante said. "Now you stay behind me. You don't talk to anyone else in this building." Lily nodded, clutching her backpack like a shield. Dante opened the hallway door and called two men he trusted, Marcus and Theo. "Marcus, take Frankie to the front office. Search him. Phone, pockets, everything." He looked at Theo. "Get my driver to the back entrance and bring Rosa." Rosa arrived fast, eyes sharp. She froze when she saw Lily. Then her face softened. Dante didn't explain. "She's with me," he said. Rosa nodded once, like that was all she needed. Dante led Lily into his private office and locked the door. The click made Lily tense, then relax when she realized the lock was for her, not against her. Without thinking, Dante pulled a framed photo from a drawer and set it on the desk. A woman with dark hair and a sunlit smile at Coney Island, a memory Dante had tried to bury. Lily stared. Her breath caught. "That's my mom." Dante's mouth went dry. "You knew her?" "She's Emily," Lily whispered. She called herself Emmy. The name hit Dante like a punch. Emily Cross, the only person who had ever made him imagine a life without shadows. His hand shook as he opened the bottom drawer and took out an envelope, yellowed and still sealed. 7 years ago it had arrived, and Dante had been too afraid to open it. He slid a letter opener under the flap. Lily watched, silent, holding the peanut butter jar like it was treasure. Dante unfolded the paper. "Dante, if you're reading this, it means I'm out of time." His pulse roared. He forced himself to continue. "Lily is yours. She's 7. If anything happens to me, don't let her be raised by wolves who call it family. I left a way for you to protect her. It's locked where you keep your sins." Dante's vision blurred. He blinked hard. "You're my dad?" Lily asked, as if saying it too loud would make him disappear. Dante couldn't lie. "Yes," he said. "I'm your father." Lily didn't hug him. Street kids didn't trust like that. She just stared, weighing him. "What happened to my mum?" she asked. "I don't know yet," Dante admitted, "but I'm going to find out." A knock. Theo entered, glancing at Lily, then away. "Boss," he said. Marcus searched Frankie, found a second phone, burner. Dante's blood chilled. A burner meant a handler. "Bring Frankie to the conference room," Dante ordered. "No beating, just bring him." He turned back to Lily. "Did Frankie tell you why he wanted the safe opened?" Lily nodded. "He said there's papers inside. Papers that make you weak. He said if I help him, he'll buy me pizza, real pizza." Dante closed his eyes for a beat. Frankie had used pizza like a leash. He opened them again, steady and cold. "Listen to me," Dante said. "You're not opening anything for him. You're coming with me tonight, and you're going to eat until you're full. Then I'm going to find out what happened to your mum." Lily's eyes filled, but she fought the tears like they were dangerous. She gave one small nod. Dante folded Emily's letter carefully and put it in his jacket like it was a weapon and a wound at the same time. Emily had said she left a way to protect Lily, locked where he kept his sins. The safe wasn't just money. It was a target, and it was a message. As Dante walked Lily toward the back exit, he understood the real twist of the night. The safe hadn't been waiting for thieves. It had been waiting for his daughter. In the conference room, Frankie sat with his hands on the table, pretending he wasn't scared. Marcus stood behind him. Dante entered without rushing, leaving Lily with Rosa down the hall. Dante placed the burner phone on the table. "Whose is this?" "Back up," Frankie said. "For what?" Dante's eyes stayed calm. Frankie tried a smile. "You know how it is." Dante leaned closer. "Who told you to use the kid?" Frankie's jaw tightened. "Nobody used her." Dante tapped the phone. "Then let's see who you've been talking to." Frankie shifted, chair scraping. Marcus's hand landed on his shoulder and kept him seated. Dante unlocked the phone. One recent call. No name, just a number. Theo slid a paper across the table with the trace. Dante read it and felt his stomach drop. The line was registered to Councilman Grant Weller's private office. A clean suit who smiled for cameras in Dante's neighborhood. Dante had paid him for protection for years, but a councilman sending muscle after Dante's safe. Frankie saw Dante's face and panicked. "I didn't want to," he blurted. "He said it was just papers. He said you'd survive." "And Lily's mother?" Dante asked. Frankie hesitated. Then he chose a half-truth, because it was all he had left. "I heard she went to Weller. She thought he could force you to help. Then she disappeared." Silence filled the room. Dante understood it. Weller hadn't been protecting him. Weller had been studying him, waiting for leverage. And now, Weller had found the one lever Dante didn't know he had. Dante turned toward the hallway where Lily sat eating. Something hard settled in his chest. Not greed, not fear. War, for her alone. Dante didn't sleep. He sat in the back seat of his car, while Lily slept in the front passenger seat, curled under Dante's expensive coat like it was a blanket. The city rolled past in neon and sirens. Dante watched her chest rise and fall and felt the strangest anger. Not at Frankie, at himself. He could have been in her life. He could have known her favorite color, the way she pronounced words, the tiny habits kids formed when they felt safe. Instead, she had learned how to bargain for food with a safe. When they reached Dante's penthouse in Brooklyn Heights, Rosa was waiting with a spare room prepared in minutes, like she'd been expecting this life all along. Lily stood in the doorway, eyes wide at the height, the clean floors, the silence that didn't hide footsteps. "This is where you live?" Lily asked. "It's where I hide," Dante answered before he could stop himself. Rosa gave him a look that said, "Not in front of her." Then she knelt and offered Lily a plate, eggs, toast, fruit cut into neat slices, real breakfast, warm and honest. Lily stared at it like it was a trick. "You can eat," Rosa said gently. "No one's taking it." Lily tested the toast first, then ate like her body remembered hunger more than manners. Dante turned away so she wouldn't see the way his eyes stung. After Lily finished, Dante sat across from her at the kitchen table, hands flat, posture careful, like he was approaching an animal that had been hurt. "I need to ask you things," he said, "and you can tell me when you don't want to answer." Lily's eyes stayed on his hands. "Okay. Where did you meet Frankie?" "At the place with soup," she said. "The church line. He was there with a hoodie. He said he used to be hungry too. He gave me a slice of pizza once. Then he started asking questions." "What questions?" "About you," Lily whispered. "If I ever saw you. If I knew where you worked. He asked if I'd ever been inside your building. I said no. He said he could help me, if I helped him." Dante breathed slowly. "Did he hurt you?" Lily shook her head, but her shoulders rose like she was bracing anyway. "Not yet. Not yet," Dante thought. That was what predators called patience. Dante stood and walked to the window. The river outside looked calm, but he knew better. The city always looked calm from above. Theo called. Dante answered quietly. "We got eyes on Weller's office," Theo reported. "Unmarked cars. Not cops, private security, and Frankie's burner has a second number in drafts. It's saved as V." "V," Dante repeated. "There's more," Theo said. "Frankie's been moving cash. Small amounts. Like someone promised him a bigger payout." Dante's mind went to one man in his world who used a single letter, like it was a crown. Victor Hale. Victor ran the other side of Brooklyn's docks, a polished predator with charity galas and a private driver. Victor hated Dante because Dante didn't pretend to be clean. Their truce had held for years, thin as paper, signed in cash and threat. If Victor was involved, then Weller wasn't the brain. He was the mask. Dante ended the call and returned to the table. Lily was tracing the rim of her cup with one finger, a nervous circle. "Lily," Dante said, "tell me about your mom, about Emily." Lily's face softened. "She was brave," she said. She worked at a daycare, but she was always tired. She used to sing me numbers like a song. I thought it was just a game." "What numbers?" Dante asked, suddenly cold. Lily sang them under her breath, simple, almost musical. Dante felt his scalp prickle. The pattern was familiar. Left, right, left. The taps, the pauses. It wasn't a lullaby. It was a safe combination. Dante's knees went weak for a second. Emily had known his safe. Emily had known where he hid things he couldn't burn. She'd turned it into a song to keep it alive, to keep Lily alive. "Did your mum tell you why she sang that?" Dante asked, voice tight. "She said if anything happened," Lily whispered, "I should remember the song. She said it could keep me safe. She said if I found you, I should ask for food first, because hungry people can't think." Dante stared at her. Emily had planned for Dante to fail, and she'd still tried to save him anyway. Rosa stepped into the kitchen and set down a small backpack that wasn't broken, plus clean clothes Lily's size. "For school," Rosa said, as if Lily had always been headed there. Lily touched the new bag, hesitant. "For me. For you," Rosa answered. Dante watched Lily's fingers tremble over the zipper. He realized this was how healing started, not with speeches, but with a child being allowed to have something new without paying for it with fear. Then Dante's phone buzzed again. A text from Marcus. "Frankie's gone." Dante's blood turned to ice. "How?" he asked when Marcus called. "He slipped out during shift change," Marcus said, voice tight. "We found a guard knocked out. Not bad, but enough." Dante glanced at Lily, at the new backpack, at the quiet kitchen that suddenly felt too exposed. Frankie hadn't run to save himself. Frankie had run to get reinforcements. Dante looked at Rosa. "Lock down the building," he said. "No visitors, no deliveries." Rosa nodded, already moving. Lily's eyes widened. "Am I in trouble?" Dante knelt beside her chair. "No," he said. "You're not in trouble. You're the reason I'm going to end this." He stood, the old violence of his life rising like a tide. But this time, it wasn't for money or pride. It was for a little girl who knew his safe better than he knew her. And Dante refused to lose her. By morning, Dante had men on every stairwell and camera feeds on every screen. But he knew security wasn't safety. Safety was removing the threat, and the threat now had a name with a seal on it. Councilman Grant Weller, and a shadow behind him, Victor Hale. Dante drove Lily to a small school 2 neighborhoods away that Rosa trusted, a place that didn't ask too many questions as long as tuition arrived on time. Lily wore clean jeans and a sweater Rosa had picked, hair brushed into a simple ponytail. She looked like any other kid for the first time since Dante met her, and the normalness of it made Dante's chest ache. At the gate, Lily hesitated. "You're coming back?" she asked. Dante bent down so his voice wouldn't float to strangers. "I'll be here," he promised. "Same time." Lily studied his face like she was reading for lies. Then she nodded and walked in, shoulders tense, but walking. Dante watched until she disappeared into the building. Only then did he let himself breathe. He went straight to the church on Atlantic Avenue, where Lily had said she met Frankie. The priest was a small man with tired eyes and hands stained by old work. Father O'Connor looked at Dante's suit, then at Dante's men waiting outside, and sighed like he'd been expecting trouble with expensive shoes. "You're Dante Mercer," the priest said. "I'm looking for Emily Cross," Dante replied. Father O'Connor's face tightened. "Emily's not coming back." Dante swallowed. "When?" 4 months ago, the priest said quietly. "Car accident on the Belt Parkway, or that's what the report said." Dante felt the floor tilt. "You believe it?" The priest's eyes didn't flinch. "I believe Emily was scared. I believe she came here a week before she died and asked me how to hide a child from powerful men." Dante's jaw clenched. "Did she tell you who?" Father O'Connor hesitated, then opened a drawer and pulled out a small notebook. "She didn't name names. But she said a man in government wanted something from the father. She said the father kept a safe, and inside was the only thing that could stop them." Dante's stomach twisted. "Did she leave anything?" The priest slid a folded paper across the desk. "She asked me to give you this if you ever came. I didn't think you would." Dante unfolded it. A single line, written in Emily's hand. "Don't open it for money. Open it for her." Dante stared at the words until they blurred. Emily had known him too well. She knew he'd open a safe for power. She was begging him to open this one for love. As Dante left the church, Theo called with urgency. "Boss, Weller's people are moving and Victor's crew is with them. Dante's mind raced. Weller wanted the safe opened. Victor wanted Dante weakened. And Frankie was the knife they'd slip into the gap. Dante returned to Mercer Imports, to the back room with the safe. He stared at it the way a man stared at a grave he wasn't ready to dig. Rosa stood beside him, arms crossed. "Whatever's in there," she said, "it's making everyone act crazy." "It's not money," Dante answered. Rosa raised an eyebrow. "Then why keep it locked like a heart?" Dante exhaled. "Because it's proof." Rosa's eyes sharpened. Proof of what? Dante didn't answer yet. He spun the dial, then stopped. He stepped back like he couldn't touch it without changing his life. "I'm not opening it until Lily's safe," he said. "And how do you plan to do that?" Rosa asked. Dante's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Bring the girl. Bring the safe code. Tonight, 9 p.m. Dante's hands tightened around the phone. They knew where Lily was. That meant they had eyes on him already, closer than he liked. Theo called again. "Boss," he said, "Frankie just pinged on a camera near the school." Dante felt his stomach drop. "Is Lily?" "She's inside," Theo said fast. "But Frankie's outside, watching." Dante grabbed his keys. "I'm going," he said. Rosa caught his arm. "Dante," she warned, "don't turn this into a shootout." "There won't be one," Dante said, and meant it. Not near her, not ever. He drove with a cold focus, hands steady, mind on one thing. A little girl walking out of school to find the wrong smile waiting. When Dante arrived, he didn't see Frankie at first. Then he saw the scar, half hidden by a hoodie, standing near a vending machine like he belonged there. Dante stepped out of the car and walked toward him alone. Frankie's grin flickered. "Boss, you're really playing daddy now?" Dante stopped a few feet away. "You're going to walk away," he said, "and you're going to tell me who's giving you orders." Frankie laughed softly. "Orders? No, I got an offer, big one. Weller wants those papers. Victor wants you gone. And me? I just want out." "You're using a child," Dante said. Frankie's grin turned sharp. "That child is your weakness. You think the city won't use it. They already are." The school doors opened behind Dante. Kids poured out, laughing, shouting, alive. Dante's throat tightened when he saw Lily step out, scanning for him. She spotted Dante and started walking fast, backpack bouncing. Frankie shifted his weight, like he might move. Dante's voice dropped to a whisper. "If you take one step toward her," he said, "you won't leave this sidewalk." Frankie's eyes searched Dante's face, looking for bluff. He found none. Lily reached Dante's side and grabbed his hand without thinking, like her body chose him before her mind trusted him. Dante squeezed her fingers gently. Then he looked at Frankie and he understood the next move. He wasn't going to win this by being the biggest monster in the room. He was going to win it by refusing to be one. Today. Dante didn't yank Lily into the car. He didn't create panic. Panic made children run, and running children got grabbed. Instead, he lifted Lily's backpack strap gently onto her shoulder and spoke like this was ordinary. "Rosa's car is around the corner," he said. "We're walking." Lily looked up at him. "Why are you talking like that?" "Because you're safe," Dante answered, and forced himself to breathe like it was true. He walked her down the sidewalk at a steady pace. Frankie lingered nearby, pretending to check his phone. Halfway to the corner, Frankie moved, not toward Lily, toward the street, where a black SUV rolled up too smoothly to be apparent. The window lowered an inch, just enough to show a hand with a ring Dante recognized. Victor Hale's ring, gold, flat, a tiny engraving of a hawk. Frankie leaned down to the window, spoke quickly, then looked back at Dante with a grin that said, "See? Bigger than you." Dante's pulse stayed steady. "Keep walking," he told Lily. Lily's fingers tightened around his. When they reached the corner, Rosa's sedan was there, engine on. Rosa sat behind the wheel, eyes forward, jaw set. The back door opened from inside, ready. "Get in," Dante told Lily. Lily slid into the back, and Rosa's hand reached back to touch Lily's shoulder for a second, grounding her. Then the sedan started rolling, calm, like a normal ride home. Dante didn't get in. He watched the SUV pull away, then watched Frankie peel off behind it like a dog chasing a bone. Marcus and Theo stepped to Dante's side. "You want him?" Marcus asked. "I want the person holding his leash," Dante replied. "Before we continue, tell me in the comments what you think of this story so far and what you would do in his place. Don't leave the video because what comes next will give you chills. Dante didn't chase with sirens or screaming tires. He followed from a distance in a second vehicle, quiet, unseen, letting Frankie believe he was free. Theo drove. Marcus stayed on comms. Dante stared at the back of Frankie's hoodie like it was a target drawn by betrayal. The SUV stopped at a waterfront event space near the docks, one of Victor's charity properties. Frankie slipped through a side door. Dante followed through service corridors while upbeat music thumped through the walls. Theo whispered, "Cameras?" "Looped," Marcus answered through the earpiece. "Victor's guys control this building." Dante reached a steel door marked "Staff Only" and pushed it open. Inside was a small office. Councilman Grant Weller stood by a window, tie loosened, face pale in the fluorescent light. Victor Hale sat in a leather chair like he owned the air itself, ring catching the light every time he moved his hand. Frankie stood between them, eager, sweating. Victor's eyes lifted to Dante without surprise. "Mercer," he said smoothly. "Look at you, showing up like a concerned father. Makes you almost respectable." Weller cleared his throat. "This doesn't have to be messy," he said, trying to sound in control. "We can make an arrangement." Dante stepped in and closed the door behind him. "You used a 7-year-old, he said. His voice didn't rise, but the room felt colder. Victor smiled. "We offered her pizza. She came willingly. That's America, isn't it? People do anything for food." Dante's hands curled, then relaxed. Rage was easy. Control was harder. Weller gestured toward Dante as if giving a speech. "You have a safe," he said. "Inside are documents, names, payment trails, things that could ruin careers. My career, Victor's investments, your lifestyle." "You mean crimes," Dante said. Weller's face tightened. "Call it what you want. I call it survival." Victor leaned forward. "Here's the deal. You open the safe tonight. You hand over the documents and you get to keep playing father. Lily stays enrolled. No one touches her." Dante stared at Victor. "And if I refuse?" Victor's smile thinned. "Then your little girl becomes a headline. Tragic. Brooklyn is dangerous. Nobody will blame me." Dante felt a sickness crawl up his spine. This was the world he'd helped build. This was the language he'd taught men like Victor to speak. Frankie shifted, trying to look tough. "Just do it, boss. Take the deal, you'll be fine." Dante looked at Frankie and saw the truth. Frankie wanted out, and he'd sell a child for the door. Dante took a slow step forward. "I'm going to ask you once," he said to Weller. "What happened to Emily Cross?" Weller's eyes flicked to Victor. Victor's ring tapped the armrest, casual. Weller swallowed. "I don't know what you're talking about." Dante nodded, as if accepting it. Then he moved. Not a punch, not a gun. Dante grabbed Frankie's phone from his pocket in one clean motion, the way a pickpocket stole wallets on subway platforms. Frankie reached, but Marcus appeared in the doorway behind Dante, blocking Frankie's path with a silent shake of his head. Dante held the phone up. "You forgot something," he said. Victor's gaze sharpened. "Give it back." Dante typed a code. One he'd learned years ago from listening, from watching. Frankie's favorite number. The phone unlocked. A recording app was open. Red dot blinking. Dante smiled without warmth. "You've been recording this meeting," he said to Frankie. "Trying to protect yourself." Frankie's face drained. Dante turned the phone toward Weller. "Councilman," he said, "you just confessed to extortion. On tape. In a building you claim is for charity." Victor stood, the charm falling away. "That tape disappears," he said. Dante met his eyes. "Not before it gets copied." Outside the office, music kept playing. People kept laughing. Inside, the room tightened like a noose. Victor took one step closer. Dante didn't back up. And in that moment, Dante understood. The safe wasn't the only leverage. Fear was. And Dante was done letting them use it. Somewhere, Lily was eating in peace, waiting finally. Dante left the office before Victor decided to turn the room into a cage. He walked out the service corridor with Marcus and Theo, Frankie's phone already in Theo's hands, copying files to 3 different places. Frankie stayed behind, frozen, realizing he'd tried to sell everyone and ended up owned by nobody. Dante called Rosa. "Where's Lily?" he asked. "On the couch," Rosa said. "Cartoons, a blanket. She ate 2 pieces of toast and asked if tomorrow can be normal." Dante swallowed. "Keep her inside, lock everything." Rosa didn't argue. "Dante," she said quietly, "are you going to open that safe?" Dante said, "Yes, but not alone." An hour later, Lily sat in Dante's back room at Mercer Imports again, sitting on a tall chair. Rosa was there, arms crossed. Theo stood by the door. Marcus watched the cameras. Dante kept his voice soft, even though his hands wanted to shake. "I'm going to open the safe," Dante told Lily, "but I need you to help me." Lily's eyes flicked to the steel box. "Because of the song?" Dante nodded. "Because your mom trusted you with it." Lily swallowed. "Will it make people stop being mean?" "It can," Dante said, and it was the most honest answer he had. He turned the dial and paused. "Sing it," he asked. Lily sang the numbers under her breath, a child's rhythm over an adult's sin. Dante followed. Left, right, left. The taps where Emily had taught him years ago. The lock clicked. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Dante pulled the heavy door open. Inside wasn't stacks of cash. There was a slim metal box, a folder sealed in plastic, and a small velvet pouch. Dante lifted the pouch first and opened it. A necklace spilled into his palm. A simple chain with a tiny silver charm shaped like a star. Dante recognized it instantly. He had bought it on a boardwalk for Emily when he was still young enough to think love could outrun danger. Lily's eyes widened. "Mom wore that," she whispered. Dante set the necklace gently on the table. Then he opened the plastic folder. A ledger, names, dates, amounts. Payments to councilman offices, to police precinct charities, to shell companies. Victor Hale used to launder money through development. Dante stared at his own handwriting on some pages and felt the shame of it burn. This wasn't just proof against Weller and Victor. It was proof against Dante Mercer, too. Rosa exhaled slowly. "This is everything." "It's a bomb," Marcus said. Dante reached into the metal box and found a USB drive taped to the bottom, labeled in Emily's handwriting. For Lily. Dante's throat tightened. He plugged it into his laptop. A video file opened. Emily appeared on the screen, older than Dante remembered, tired but steady. Her eyes looked straight into the camera like she was looking at him through time. "If you're seeing this," Emily said, "it means I'm not there to protect her anymore. Dante, I hated you for a long time. I hated what you chose, but I never hated the part of you that was hungry and trying to survive. That part is Lily, too." Lily leaned forward, frozen. Emily continued, voice trembling once, then firm again. "Weller found out about the ledger. Victor did too. They threatened me. They told me Lily would disappear, so I made a plan. I taught her the code as a song. I told her to ask you for food first, because hunger makes people obedient, and I needed her to stay smart." Dante's eyes burned. Emily's mouth softened into a small smile. "If you're watching this with her, then you didn't run from her, thank you. Now do the right thing. Not for me. For Lily. End it." The video ended. The room stayed silent. Lily's voice came out tiny. "She knew you'd help." Dante stared at the black screen. "She hoped," he corrected, "and she was braver than I deserved." Theo cleared his throat. "Boss," he said, "we can't sit on this. Victor's going to come." Dante nodded. "We move first." Rosa looked at him hard. "You hand that ledger to the feds, you know what happens to you." "I know," Dante said. Rosa's expression softened. "And Lily?" Dante reached for the star necklace and held it out to Lily. "She gets a life," he said. "One." Lily didn't take the necklace right away. "You're going away?" she asked. Dante's chest tightened. He forced himself to tell the truth in words a child could hear. "I might have to pay for things I did," he said. "But I'm not leaving you." "How can you not leave if you go away?" Lily asked. Dante knelt beside her chair. "Because I'm going to make sure you're cared for every day," he said, "and I'm going to come back, and until then, you'll know where I am. No disappearing." Lily's eyes filled. This time she didn't fight the tears. One rolled down her cheek, silent. Rosa stepped closer. "I'll stay," she told Lily. "I'm not going anywhere." Lily wiped her face with her sleeve. "Okay," she whispered, like she was trying on trust for the first time. Dante stood and looked at the ledger again. He'd built his empire on secrets. Now the only way to save his daughter was to destroy the empire himself. He took out his phone and called a number he hadn't used in years. "Special Agent Carla Nguyen," he said when the voice answered. "It's Dante Mercer. I have something you need, and I'm ready to talk." On the other end, there was a pause long enough to feel like a lifetime. Then the agent said, "Where are you?" Dante looked at Lily, at the necklace, at Emily's handwriting. "I'm at the place I should have been," he said, "with my daughter." And outside, in the dark, the city kept moving toward the moment it would find out who was really holding the keys. Tonight, Special Agent Carla Nguyen arrived with 2 unmarked cars and a team that moved like quiet math. Nguyen stepped into Dante's office like she belonged there. She was in her late 30s, hair pulled back, face unreadable. Her gaze swept the room, paused on Lily, softened for half a second, then returned to Steele. "You called," Nguyen said. Dante slid the ledger across the desk. "This is Weller," he said. "This is Victor Hale. This is the pipeline. Names, dates, shells." Nguyen didn't touch it yet. "And this is you too," she replied. "Yes," Dante said. "That's why I'm not asking for immunity. I'm asking for one thing." Nguyen glanced toward Lily. "Her," Dante nodded. "Protection and a life. No Foster roulette. No headlines. No political favors." Nguyen studied him. "You ready to testify?" Dante didn't look away. "Yes." Rosa exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for years. Nguyen finally opened the ledger, flipped a few pages, then closed it with care. "We move tonight," she said. "Weller and Hale think they're untouchable because they hide behind public events. We'll use that." Theo stepped forward. "Victor's expecting the safe code," he said. "He sent the message, 9 p.m. Nguyen nodded. "Then you'll give him something," she said. "Just not what he thinks." Dante felt the plan take shape like a fist closing. They didn't bring Lily to any trap. Nguyen had agents quietly relocate her to a safe apartment across town, stocked with food, blankets, and a woman Lily immediately liked because she spoke softly and didn't ask questions. Rosa went with Lily and refused to leave her side. Dante stayed. At 8:45 p.m., Dante walked into the waterfront event space alone, dressed like he was arriving to surrender. He carried a thin envelope under his arm and kept his expression flat. Cameras in the lobby caught him. People in suits glanced, whispered, pretended not to know him. Dante let them. Inside, Victor Hale greeted him with a smile made for donors. Councilman Weller stood beside him, laughing too loudly at a joke nobody told. Victor leaned in. "Mercer," he murmured. "I knew fatherhood would make you reasonable." Dante held up the envelope. "Everything you want," he said. Victor's eyes gleamed. "Good. We'll step somewhere private." They walked to the same staff office. This time, Victor didn't sit. He paced. Weller wiped sweat from his upper lip. "You brought the code?" Weller asked. Dante shook his head. "The code isn't important anymore," he said. "The ledger is." Victor's smile tightened. "You don't get to change the terms." Dante set the envelope on the table and opened it. Inside was a single flash drive and a printed copy of Victor's own foundation grant applications marked with red circles, shell company links, fake invoices, signatures that didn't match. Victor's eyes narrowed. "What is this?" "Your mask," Dante replied. Weller's voice rose. "Where is my ledger?" Dante met his gaze. "In federal hands." The room went silent, in the way predators go silent before they strike. Victor's charm collapsed. "You think you're clever," he said, voice low. "You think you can sacrifice yourself and walk away clean with the kid." Dante's heart hammered, but he stayed steady. "She's not a kid," he said. "She's my daughter." Victor's hand went to his jacket. Not dramatic, not fast, just a decision. Dante moved first. He didn't draw a gun. He shoved the table forward with both hands, forcing space, forcing Victor to stumble back. The flash drive skittered across the floor. Weller yelped and backed toward the wall. Victor recovered, eyes wild. "You're dead," he hissed. Dante's earpiece crackled once. Nguyun's voice, calm. "Stay where you are." Footsteps thundered outside. Doors slammed. Shouts, not chaos, command. Victor froze for a fraction of a second, calculating whether he could fight his way out. Then his gaze snapped to Dante, and the calculation changed. "If I can't have your safe," Victor said, "I'll take your heart." He lunged, grabbing Dante's collar, driving him back against the window. The glass rattled. Dante felt Victor's forearm press hard against his throat. Dante's vision narrowed, but he didn't panic. He planted his feet and twisted, turning the force sideways. The window held. Victor's grip slid. Dante drove an elbow into Victor's ribs, just enough to force breath out, to force space. Victor grunted and staggered. The office door flew inward. Agents flooded the room with weapons raised but controlled. voices clear. "Federal agents, hands where we can see them." Weller's hands shot up instantly. Victor's didn't. Victor looked at Dante like he was seeing him for the first time, not as a rival, as a man willing to burn his own kingdom for a child. Victor's mouth curled. "You'll regret this," he said. Nguyen stepped in behind her team, eyes on Victor. "Put your hands up," she ordered. Victor didn't move. An agent closed in. Victor finally raised his hands, slow, theatrical, like he was performing surrender for an audience. The agent cuffed him. Victor leaned toward Dante as he was pulled away. "Your daughter will still pay," Victor whispered. Dante's skin went cold. He started forward, but Nguyen blocked him with one hand. "We have her," Nguyen said, reading his face. "She's safe." Dante's knees almost gave out. He grabbed the edge of the table, steadying himself. He didn't realize he was shaking until Marcus's hand landed on his shoulder. Weller stammered, This is a mistake." Nguyen cut him off. "Councilman Grant Weller, you are under arrest for conspiracy, extortion, and corruption." Weller's face collapsed. "You can't do this," he whispered. "I'm elected." Nguyen's expression didn't change. "Not anymore." Outside, the ballroom music cut off as agents moved through the building. Dante stood in the wrecked office, throat sore, suit rumpled, and felt something unexpected. Relief. Not because he'd won. Because Lily wasn't the bait anymore. She was free. He let himself breathe. Dante Mercer didn't run when Nguyen turned to him. He didn't ask for a back door, even though he owned buildings full of them. He stood in the fluorescent light and waited like a man who finally understood that freedom without honesty was just another kind of cage. Nguyen's voice was steady. "Dante Mercer, you're under arrest too." Dante nodded. "I know," he said. Marcus flinched like he wanted to protest, but Dante lifted a hand. No hero speeches, no last-minute deals whispered in corners. Dante had chosen this road the moment he read Emily's letter and looked at Lily's hands. Nguyen cuffed him herself, not harsh, not gentle, just real. "You did one thing right tonight," she said quietly as she walked him out. "Don't ruin it by trying to be a martyr." "I'm not trying to be anything," Dante replied. "I'm trying to be her father." Rosa met them outside, face pale, arms wrapped around Lily. Lily was bundled in a puffy coat, cheeks pink from heat inside the car, eyes wide with exhaustion. The moment she saw Dante in cuffs, her small body went rigid. "You're leaving," Lily whispered. Dante crouched as far as the cuffs allowed. "I'm going with them for a while," he said, "but I'm not disappearing." Lily's mouth trembled. "People always say that." Dante's throat tightened. "Then I'll prove it," he said. "You'll visit me, I'll call you, Rosa will be with you, and when I can come home, I will." Lily looked at Rosa like she was asking if promises could be true. Rosa squeezed her shoulder. "He'll show up," Rosa said, "and if he doesn't, I'll drag him back by the ear." A tiny breath of a laugh escaped Lily, more surprise than joy. Dante held on to that sound like it was oxygen. Nguyen watched the exchange, then nodded to her team. "We'll keep her out of the press," she said, "but you cooperate, Mercer, all the way." Dante met her eyes. All the way. The next weeks were a blur of concrete rooms and hard questions. Dante sat across from prosecutors who didn't care about his childhood, his hunger or his regrets. They cared about facts, names, roots, accounts. Dante gave them everything: Victor's shell companies, Weller's payoffs, the officers who took envelopes to look the other way. He signed papers that felt like cutting off limbs. Some nights, alone in a holding cell, Dante heard Lily's voice in his head, singing the numbers like a lullaby. He heard Emily's final plea: "Don't open it for money. Open it for her." Rosa brought Lily to visit the first time on a Saturday morning. Lily wore a bright scarf and carried a drawing in both hands like it was fragile. A stick-figure man in a suit, a small girl beside him, and a star above their heads. "For you," Lily said, sliding it across the table. Dante swallowed the ache in his throat. "It's perfect," he said. Lily studied the room, the guards, the cold table. "Is this forever?" she asked. "No," Dante promised. "It's for a while. Then I'm coming out, and we're doing it right." Lily's eyes narrowed, not mean, just careful. "What's right?" Dante thought for a second, then chose words a child could hold. "School," he said. "Breakfast every day. A bedroom that's yours. No one taking your bag, and you never ever bargaining for food again." Lily stared at him. Then she nodded once, small and serious. "Okay." He took a plea deal. Time served for cooperation, assets forfeited, and testimony. In return, Lily's identity stayed sealed, and Rosa became Lily's legal guardian until Dante could petition for custody. When Dante finally walked out of prison 2 years later, he was thinner, older, and strangely lighter. Rosa waited at the gate with a girl holding a small backpack, new, clean, covered in patches. Lily was 9 now, taller, stronger. Her eyes still measured the world, but there was warmth in them too, a kind of cautious light. Dante stopped a few feet away like he wasn't sure he was allowed to be close. Lily stared at him, then walked forward and hugged him hard, arms locked around his waist like she'd been saving the hug for a day she could trust. Dante closed his eyes and held her gently, careful not to squeeze too tight, careful not to break the miracle. "You came back," Lily whispered into his jacket. "I said I would," Dante replied, voice rough. "And I'm here." They went home to a smaller apartment Rosa had chosen, one funded by clean money from the legitimate businesses Rosa had kept alive. Dante didn't go back to being a boss. He went to meetings. He worked honest hours. He cooked eggs badly and learned to laugh when Lily teased him for it. One night, Lily sat at the kitchen table doing homework and asked, "What was in the safe besides papers?" Dante opened a small box and showed her the silver star necklace. "This," he said, "and your mum's voice, and the truth." Lily touched the star gently. "I asked you for food," she said, almost embarrassed. Dante smiled. "And you got it," he answered. "And you never have to ask like that again." Lily looked up, eyes bright. "Can we get pizza tomorrow?" Dante laughed softly. "Real pizza," he promised. "Some doors close with locks, but the right ones open with a child's hand and a father's choice alone. Together." What did you think of the story? Subscribe to the channel and share it with someone who will also be moved today.